Okay. Environmental server. So here we go.
Hello.
Hello, Nikki. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Great also. Thank you. Today, I don't know it is the right place, but I would like to share some idea, basically on GreenOps also.
Great. Yeah, this is absolutely the right place. And yeah, I think there's going to be a big discussion around GreenOps itself and ideas around, you know, this working group. Do we want to name it GreenOps? Why not? What is it, etc. Like, I think this is, yeah, it's a big a good discussion, if anything else. Like, I think we want to have some thoughts shared around this and analysis.
Great.
Hi, Leo. Hi, Antonio.
Hi.
Thanks for making time for this. Good
Hello.
to see. Hi.
Hello.
Okay, cool. I think we can wait a couple of minutes. Maybe some other folks will show up. Where's the document? Let's see. Ah, I already have it open. Okay, nice. Nikki, do you want to lead this discussion or?
Yeah,
Okay, nice.
I can do that. And for notes, would anyone like to volunteer to take notes? I could also, I don't know, take notes if
I
someone
could
to
do that.
lead it.
The only problem is that maybe I don't have many insights. So like last time I found it a bit difficult to summarize what I did not fully understand. So like given that disclaimer, I can take notes.
Awesome, nice.
No worries. Happy to, we can always backfill and everyone can contribute to the notes as well. All right, well, welcome. And to open that, this meeting is part of the CNCF, so the Code of Conduct. applies here, and everyone is lovely and nice. And I think we all have, there's no new members or attendees. And so today we will be talking about the proposal for a GreenOps working group. Do we want to call it the GreenOps working group? What is GreenOps? What is it not? What would this working group do? What would it not do? So the scope and what is out of scope. There is a working document and an issue around this. But it's really a space for, hi Eduardo. So it's really a space to talk about this working group proposal. What kind of space do we want to shape as a tag to have this technical deep dives, discussions, and technical projects? But also I feel, Leo, your feedback has been that, well, we really want to kind of be a little bit more specific in what we are trying to achieve, since working groups typically in the CNCF have been time limited or limited to projects. So that's what we're trying to do. Any thoughts so far? Maybe we can open it to the discussion. I would love to hear from you all.
Hello?
Hi.
Can you hear?
Yes.
Perfect. So sorry that I joined a bit late. I was just asking because you just said that working groups are limited on time on a project, but somehow GreenOps is not I don't believe it's going to be a short time-based principle, and it's definitely not a project, but how to utilize projects in order to provide a green framework. So how is that going to work? Is it going to become like a tag in the future, or
Leo, do you
how
want
do you see?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so maybe there's like some confusion because in the Kubernetes community, and this is like the original idea of 6 and 6 become tags in the CNCF. And in the Kubernetes community, working groups are time limited, but in the CNCF, this is not the case. And there's like a differentiation between working groups and projects. So projects are time limited and working groups not. Obviously, working groups can be discontinued if there's like no reason for them to exist anymore, because I don't know, the industry moved on or something. But this is not the case. So we can have this. We don't need to have like a time limitation on a working group. This is not the idea.
Okay, thank you. This is good background. I thought they were time limited, but yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
there's also some confusion around this. Yeah, but it's not the case. Yeah.
Sorry, can I ask another question? I didn't raise my hand. No, sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
I think because there is still not formal definition that everyone can use as a standard, but I believe that GreenOps is utilizing technology or applications that already exist or are going to be developed in order to enable a framework of sustainability in cloud native applications. But I was in KubeCon Europe, and I saw one of our colleagues was also giving demos basically over GreenOps, but under the tag, under the sustainability tag. So I wanted to know, like, what is the difference between the sustainability tag and this working group?
So the sustainability tag is the tag that would oversee the working group. This working group, which is still a proposal, would be under the tag. So any governance and the repo, the website of the tag would be resources that are shared with the working group. So that's the structure. Leo?
Yeah, you already gave like a good overview, but essentially this is like a very good point, because in our proposal, or in the proposal which we have for open right now, this is not like clear defined. So the scope is kind of broad, and you can confuse it a little bit with it, like a second tag, or you can exactly question like, what is the difference between this working group and the tag overall. And this is the reason also why we need to reshape the proposal a little bit to make it clear that this is not just like a side, I don't know, like a second tag. We don't want to replicate our work. There's no need for that. So
So yeah, basically we are going to be like the technical arm of the tag.
Right. I mean,
sorry,
this depends on the working group. So working groups can be technical in the way that we, I don't know, write white papers or something, and it's very technical. Or it can also be, for example, the working group comms. It's not very technical. It's more about outreach and things like this. So we can define this in this proposal, in this charter for the working group, and go either way. So we can be very technical, or we can go the other way. And yeah.
But I think this is a really good point, Eduardo. Exactly, that was the idea behind, at least in my mind, to have this working group, as any technical project from the tag is inherited by this working group, and we can work on it. So already there's an example, and through the discussions we've had of that we need to narrow things down, we kind of agreed on that this can everyone see my screen, my whole screen?
Yeah.
yes.
That this issue that was opened by Max, who's for anyone who doesn't know, is a co-chair of the tag, is there's been a lot of attention, a lot of comments and discussion, which is great, a lot of engagement, a lot of interest in doing this. And it would be to measure the software carbon intensity, which is an index that is being maintained and created by the Green Software Foundation. And the idea would be to work with the SCI and projects in the CNCF and try to get some like actual metrics and implement this SCI calculation. Leo?
Yeah, so I like this a lot. I think this proposal is a very great idea. I think in the tag, this is like one of our like deliverables as well, that we want to help out or advocate also the projects within the CNCF, that they can use, for example, one of these models and have maybe a badge on their README, and from release to release, we improve the sustainability aspects. And the model of like SCI can be like a very good foundation for us to do that. So I think this is like a very good idea to build a working group around this, because it's not a small effort. It will take a lot of time. So and it will also be a continuous effort, because after we have researched how we can utilize the SCI or maybe some other formula, we will engage with projects and then make sure that they know how to use this, so that we actually have more like an impact also on existing projects. But I think this moves slightly off from GreenOps. So I think if we build a working group around this proposal, which I like a lot, we should probably rename it, because to me, GreenOps has a different vibe to it. We would like investigate how FinOps principles reflect on environment sustainability. So, and this does not play a role in this project. So I think we should then consider renaming the working group.
Yeah, and on the, I guess this is a good time to talk about, like open the discussion around GreenOps, and I would suggest let's keep this, you know, we can have this conversation, but then I would suggest let's go through the proposal together afterwards. We can go through it like through each section and kind of start writing and changing things. So who would like to, well, I can give my 2 cents on GreenOps as well, because I also feel strongly about it. It was, GreenOps was, you know, for background, we were thinking of calling it the Tools and Practices Working Group, and then that would be around, you know, monitoring, tooling, and practices for reducing carbon intensity and energy consumption of cloud-native software. But this is a very, yeah, we changed the name to GreenOps. It's one word, it's more obvious what it is. However, GreenOps itself has a lot of associated meaning. With FinOps, for example, it's a kind of an opinionated name in itself. And at the same time, we don't really want to spend too much time debating what GreenOps is or isn't, or maybe we do, but that is something to consider. And if we want to delve into GreenOps and define what it is, then that would be the kind of the main aim of the working group, because we're limiting our scope to GreenOps. Whereas if we want to do the SCI calculation, that's another thing as well. I don't know how we can reconcile the two. What do you all think?
I think these are 2 separate topics. I think the SCI has a different focus. Both are valuable. I think the GreenOps discussion might not be a working group because we can investigate, I don't know, in half a year, we can write a white paper and reflect like what are the, I don't know, impact of GreenOps. What is GreenOps in cloud native, in the cloud native field? What is the impact? What can we do about it? And that we have some clarity. We can also collaborate with the FinOps Foundation. They are having, I think, like a counterpart in terms of this. And the SCI stuff kind of goes in a different direction. So I think I would, both things are good. And at the end, it comes down to what you all like to do in the tag, because there's a need for both.
Exactly.
And I'm happy to
Both
support
are,
both. And yeah.
yeah. So do we want to do just GreenOps? Do we want to do just SCI? Or do we want a third option that is more general, so that this working group is in fact like the technical arm of the tag, right?
So I don't know, like if there's like the third option to be more general, because we need to keep in mind that we want to have like a clear scope, and we don't want to have like unclear goals and everything. And I think the like tools and practices, like what we discussed before, like a couple of months ago or a couple of weeks ago, this is like too broad, and it does not really make sense, because we want to have clear deliverables. And I think this makes sense because then we also, the topic itself is big enough that we can talk about it for hours, GreenOps and also the SCI stuff. So I think it's big enough already. But yeah. What do you feel about that, Nikki?
Yeah, I don't know. Like from my point of view, I would be very interesting on the SCI, because it's something at least practical. It has like it's very clearly defined. It's maybe going to be a standard in ISO soon. We hope for, and like we would be object oriented, and like we have something specific, and then I think it's easier so to come up with a pattern that also other open source project can use. So yeah, I would like something which is like maybe easier, but has a well-defined scope. We would know what to do in that case, and we can start being operative. At least that's what I would like to to have more like a scenario in which we can be operative soon.
And Christian, you mentioned earlier you wanted to share some thoughts on GreenOps.
Yes, of course, but it's a technical matter, but I don't know if it's the right place here. Actually, it concerns the GreenOps, but it's a technical subject. I can present you in a few minutes if you have time.
Maybe by talking about it, yeah, we can.
Can I share my screen?
Sure.
Actually, I'm going to share. Where is that?
And I'm Alexis. I work with Christian in Orange.
Okay.
Invite me at your point.
Great.
Can you see my? Can you see my screen?
No.
We only see you.
Okay, now it's better. Now it will be better now.
Yes. Yes.
So here's the project. The idea is to predict the traffic of a Kubernetes cluster and also other type of cluster in order to turn off and turn on bare metal servers. So here we go. The first stage that doesn't show this schema is the training our model and choose the model that fits our needs. We will training our models with the data of CPU and RAM that we have. For example, data of the last 1 year of CPU and memory consumption. Once we have chosen our model, we can implement the first stage of this schema. So as an input, we have the CPU RAM data of the day that the system will predict the next day consumption. This prediction goes onto the soft stage. This stage has the intelligence. For now, I have no idea how this stage will be implemented because it depends on the infrastructure. The soft stage will have also as an input the technical characteristic of our clusters. For example, the CPU and memory of every bare metal server, the energy consumption, every server, and so on. The soft stage will control the turn on and turn off bare metal servers. Of course, before turn off, we have to properly shut down pods and other things like that. And finally, the control stage, it observes if all is going on the Kubernetes cluster. And if not, it can turn on more bare metal servers or deactivate the prediction system. That's all. So what do you think about this proposition? Do you think that this project can reach this working group?
So I have a couple of questions. So is this a proposal for a project? So at the end, this is like an open source project donated to the CNCF, for example, or something like this? Or is this like based on a research paper, or is this just like something you came up with? Like, I think it looks very interesting.
It's an open
and I
project.
think this shows also that there's this also shows that there's like in GreenOps, like first you think this is maybe not so technical and so on, but there you can have like a very technical view on it. And I think maybe this is also the differentiator between us from the CNCF and maybe also from the FinOps Foundation, that we have like more technical depth in this discussion, and they maybe provide more, I don't know, the organizational structures or cultural structures or something. Yeah.
Okay, because I am thinking about to put this in a hackathon, a hackathon event, and so I don't know. I have to discuss with Max also what he thinks about it.
Because Christian, it's a mix of a lot of different features. Because of course you have the prediction, which is part of the prototype. You have also the way to for an orchestrator to be aware of the load of the cluster and to stop pods and to stop the bare metal server, which kind of we have to design a kind of energy aware orchestrator. So it's a mix of plenty of features that we mix together.
Yes,
And
but the idea, the goal is to reduce our the impact, the carbon impact.
So thinking about how this can be supported by the tag, there is a need, I think, for a space to get collaboration. If you'd like to have people help contribute to this, I think a good place to start would be also opening a issue on the GitHub repo of the tag, potentially, if you'd like to get some thoughts from other people in the tag. Since, for example, the SCI issue that Max opened that we were just talking about, that gathered a lot of attention, a lot of engagement, and then the idea is like, okay, can we as a group come together and help this, right? If you open an issue around this, you might find people who are also working on something similar, who might have some tools they would like to propose, other things like that. So I would suggest, opening an issue, sharing it on the Slack channel to reach more people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And bring
We
up
could also, if this is like of interest, we could also, I don't know if this is like your plan, but that we have this like in a blog post or something, or if this like we can also drive this as a project or something similar, maybe. But this would like involve not like the coding part, but more the exploration and in general, that we understand more what GreenOps and the possibilities are in the cloud native space. So I think this could be like one aspect of a project or a white paper, for example. But this could be very interesting, I think, as well, to explore in general also this idea, and to explore like maybe how we can utilize, Kubernetes operators and all those other projects and so on in the ecosystem.
Okay.
So this would be more the place of the tag. It would not be that we work on the project code directly, but that we facilitate and that we help you in the process, and also that we understand more about the landscape itself.
Perfect.
So I based on that, I have a question then, like because what I understood of the working group on GreenOps, that I know that I see that the goal is still in definition, like in process to be defined. I thought it was like how to use existing tools, like for example Kepler and Kada, and how to operationalize that in a way that we deliver value, like with dashboards or so. I thought that the goal of the working group was like giving tools to people to take, or advancing technological demos or something like that, so people can adapt those practices into their companies and massificate GreenOps. But so what I understood here is like we are also supporting solutions. I wanted to know like which is the normal development life cycle of an application on the green aspect. Like all of them come through the funnel of the sustainability tag, or it's like always you open an issue in GitHub and what we provide is somehow promotion of that project so it gets support.
So in the tag, we don't develop projects. So if someone, I don't know, has like a cool project idea, we are obviously interested in that because we want to know like what is going on, and we also want to, I don't know, build like a community and share all knowledge and everything. But we will not like, it's not because this, if you go down this road, this is like an endless discussion. So if you start, I don't know, working on projects directly, you are going down like a path where you cannot return or something. It's just too much work, and we want to make sure that if we have like something in our scope as a tag, we can also deliver it. So if we say, I don't know, we help you with a project or something, this is just like out of scope because we cannot ensure that we have time, and we don't have time. But for example, in this case, we are obviously interested what CADA is doing, or maybe some emerging projects like the draft that we just saw. So I think this is like very interesting, just to learn about the space and the like emerging tech, and everything is very new. So there's definitely place for that. And yeah, you also mentioned like something about the GreenOps working group, and I think the way you understood it is like maybe a different focus, but we can also focus it that way. It just depends on where we want to see this working group going. So what is like the focus we are most passionate about, and what is like our goals as individual contributors contributing to this effort. And if you maybe have like a slightly different taste, then that's good. We just need to phrase it in the charter. Yeah.
No, like I actually, what I have is the willing to help. So I can have thousands of ideas, but more than ideas, I need a little bit of guidance on it. Like, hey, we are in need of this, and so I can collaborate in something. I don't have an idea too. I just want to collaborate with the idea that someone else might have or stuff like that. So, so what happened there for me? GreenOps, personal definition, is more of a culture like DevOps, for example. Not because you do Jenkins, you do DevOps. And not because you do GitLab CI, you know, it's not the tool, it's that principle. And what I want is, what I thought that is in the scope of this working group is like promote it as culture. And how do you promote culture? Well, you share knowledge and you write somehow a manifesto. You're going to have a manifesto, but something like that, and then you start promoting it. And I thought that we will focus on that. I'm not sure if I'm right or I'm wrong. I just want to clarify that.
Yeah. So also to maybe clarify a little bit more with projects, the TAG meeting, the regular TAG meeting, does, like, we do bring guests, speakers who are the maintainers of tools such as Kepler for energy monitoring. We had someone present about Cube Green, which is used to scale down applications, deployments, etc. We had someone speak about software carbon intensity index from Green Software Foundation. So if, you know, going back to the proposal we saw earlier from Christian, if you know, build it out, there's a repo and you'd like to present a work that you've done, you know, you can ask, you know, can I come for a 10-minute demo of this thing that I built? That is definitely supported in the TAG. So hopefully that answers some of the questions. And I think for this working group, GreenOps is very open-ended, and I agree with Leo's feedback on this. We could do so many things, but the good thing about the proof of environmental sustainability activities and best practices for CNCF projects already narrows the scope a lot. First of all, to CNCF projects, to gathering carbon intensity metrics using tools such as Kepler, for example, or Scaffold, or what have you, looking at the green software patterns, which is in a way GreenOps already potentially. So I feel like this is a really nice issue to start with, because it narrows down the scope. Now, I don't know if we want to continue calling it GreenOps working, if that's the only thing, or if we don't, you know, do we want a working group around this activity, or is it a project? I don't really know what a project would look like. Maybe, yeah.
So I think this would be definitely a working group, because this is like I mean, even if we have like the scope down, but there's like a lot of work into this, and it's also a continuous effort, as I said in the beginning at some point, that we want to like build also a structure which we can use in the CNCF to evaluate the carbon footprint of projects from release to release and so on. So I think this is like a very good example. Like we could scope around this working group, I think, very nicely. But also this also goes to Eduardo, because you mentioned that you are very passionate about this. We can also obviously have like a project which is like very has like a very tiny scope. I don't know, we work for half a year with some folks who are interested on one specific task or one specific aspect of GreenOps. We don't need to capture everything, but we can just capture one part which you are passionate about, and I'm sure there are some others as well. And we can have this as a separate like project besides this working group, if there are folks interested in that. So I think that's great too.
It's interesting because part of this issue is to measure the software carbon intensity using the monitoring tools and getting metrics, right? Because we cannot reduce what we cannot measure. And then it moves to this part about the green software patterns and looking at CNCF projects, and if they, analyze what green software patterns they work with. For example, KEDA is a CNCF project. So it would be awesome to look at KEDA as part of this already, right? And we already have a clear focus of what we're trying to achieve, right? Because just looking at GreenOps, like what are we, it's chaos. Whereas with this issue, I feel like we have a nice narrative, a nice step-by-step process already. And that, when do you look at the software carbon intensity index, and when do you look at the patterns of the project per release? So this line here, that's a nice culture also. If I'm a software engineer and I'm releasing there's a new release of the software that I'm building, now is a good time to do some benchmark testing, look at the carbon intensity, etc. So by looking at the projects of the CNCF, we can set an example for software developers to follow. And already we wrote a little bit around this, that in the motivation originally, that we want to be able to provide an example for engineers in the cloud native ecosystem to follow. Like, how do you measure software carbon intensity? How to use Kepler or Scaffold or any other tool? How do you do this in your culture as part of your release process?
Yep.
How do you look at patterns?
Yeah. In the tag security, for example, they like one of the main tasks what they have is that they conduct security reviews, and that they help those projects to in those reviews, and I think we can have like a similar impact in terms of sustainability by going down this working group proposal. But also the issue that Max opened, I would use this only as a reference, but we should refine this obviously in the new motivation goals and deliverables and everything, and also make it clear or clearer as well.
Yeah, Eduardo.
Yeah, what you were saying, Nikki, on how to integrate it in the release cycle. More or less in this concept of DevSecOps and shifting security left. What I think, and it might be one of the goals, something like that, is how to promote move sustainability left or something like that, shift sustainability left, like early in the software development life cycle. We integrate sustainability tests. So you run a benchmark and you see how carbon intense your application is, or how much power it will consume, or stuff like that. and how to promote those early sustainability testing into the software development lifecycle. Might be that could be put somewhere in one of the goals or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's also, hopefully we will show this by doing it. Yeah,
By doing
with the
exactly.
CNCF projects. Yeah.
100%.
Maybe one comment to this. So to me, it does not really make, I mean, obviously you should always test early, because if you find out bugs early, the impact is smaller than you find out bugs later. So it's the same thing here, but the goal should be that we eventually have all those projects in scope. So even if they're like as big as Kubernetes, that we help them as well, conduct like a sustainability review or something in this fashion as well. So not just new projects or early projects. So I don't know if this would be something we should put in the goals, like small or large projects. I would just include large projects and small projects as well.
Sorry, can I ask you, Leo, what do you mean like with helping other projects? Are we going to collaborate in the coding, or once they have a release, we test it and we do some proof of?
Right. So there's one project, Falco, who stepped or who walked to us and said that they are very interested to improve their release pipeline, that they include sustainability reporting. And after this, basically, we came up with this issue that we could have something like this. So the idea would be that we have like some pioneer project, for example, Falco, where we can test out the SCI model, and then we can learn from that, maybe define like a review process which all those projects can implement, or maybe we also have like some code to it, maybe some, I don't know, depends. And this would be like helping our projects. It may also be that the working group has like a continuous effort that every year or so we will support like a team in doing this review. So this might also be the case, that we publish like a report or something. But this is yet to be defined. I mean, we are very early in the process.
I would suggest that with the remaining 20 minutes, we go through the proposal and change things. First of all, the name. I feel like GreenOps is maybe not the best name. But I don't know what alternative to use. Naming is hard. So yeah, GreenOps.
For having a good name, we can maybe first redefine the goals, and then it would be easier to come up with a name once we had the round on goals setting.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll just highlight this so that we can do it later. And so goals. Crowdsource and amplify cloud-native open source tools and best practices for environmental sustainability.
That's not a goal.
That's
because this is the goal of the tag. I would say.
I think what this inherent technical project proposed in the tag is, this section is more like a goal.
So to me, a goal would be that we define a review process for open source tools to assess their sustainability. So like a very, maybe we can also maybe make it more clear what we mean with this. But this is.
I have a question, because there are frameworks to make goals, to write goals. For example, the SMART framework, something like that, has to be constrained in a time, it has to be achievable, etc. Are we setting goals bound on time and deliverables? Because what I see is that, for example, the first one, crowdsource and amplify cloud native open source tool and best practices. First of all, it looks like the tag goal, and I agree. But also, it's like, what is the deliverable, or how, when are we getting it? I'm not saying that it's wrong, but maybe we could rewrite it on some way that we get something concrete. Somehow, crowdsource is a verb that includes a lot, I think.
Okay, I'm just gonna.
That's a very good point. So in the tag, we have this like very, not vague, but we have this in our charter because over time we want to explore the scope of cloud native sustainability. I think in the working group we need to be very specific, because the expectations should be very specific. Otherwise, we don't know what to do. So I think this is good input. Maybe we can focus on the deliverables and also on the non-goals. I think the non-goals are also very interesting. So for example, in the non-goals, I could see that we mention we don't want to expand the maturity model, or the CNCF maturity model, because even if this is like very closely related, I would see this as a different project, for example, because we want to have it small, like a scope which we can actually achieve. But yeah, maybe Nikki, you can.
I feel like we should start over.
That's also, I mean, always not the worst. You can then just copy some things again. Yeah.
Another.
I would just write like a line and just copy the structure, motivation. I would just leave it in the same document, because otherwise all the other links are, we need to update that. Yeah.
At least from what I like, or at least the idea that I have, like reading the issues in the comments, I think like the deliverable, like it's already there, you know, like kind of. So if we have some kind of software that can measure SCI, or like, I don't know if operator, like, or what kind of layer, if we use Kepler, but like some kind of tool that given an input open source project can assess the SCI. And like if we have a standard way, that could also be a first step toward this review process.
So build some tooling around creating the review or something, you mean, right?
Yeah, like a software which would assess SCI for open source project. And then like we could test this with Falco if they had the first request. And if this goes through, we can think about extending to other open source projects as well.
Yeah. I would maybe put this in scope. Because right now we don't have like a 100% clear picture if this is needed, but I would just keep it in scope, that we don't exclude writing code, for example, building some automation around this. But maybe it's not a deliverable, because we will measure the working group on the deliverables as well.
Build automation for carbon and energy monitoring, build automation and dashboards, right? That was also part of the.
Maybe I don't get well the difference between scope and deliverables. Can you elaborate a bit more?
Yeah, so maybe we should phrase it a little bit different, but deliverables. So I would just say, like, in scope is that we work on automation tooling, for example, but deliverables are like concrete. So like that we that like it is in scope of the working group to build automation tooling, but we don't need to build automation tooling. For example, deliverables would be that we write, I don't know, like that we do the kick-off pilot project with Falco, that we do this assessment with the Falco project. This would be a deliverable, I think. Also, that we build like a report or some guidelines how to do reporting, cloud native sustainability reporting. So we need to write some kind of document around this.
Do you have a link to that?
More.
Eduardo?
Yeah, maybe one goal. Now that because we are writing the scope and it's like, hey, measure the software carbon intensity of project, that might be the first one is Falco. So maybe the goal is determine if there are existing tools that can assess the SCI of an open source solution, or if it doesn't exist, write one. Is that a goal or is that a scope?
To write what?
So taking consideration the scope that we have, might be a goal, determining if there are existing tools that can assess the SCI of an application, or if it doesn't exist, write one.
That's a good question. I think that would be outside of the scope to write like an energy monitoring tool or carbon monitoring tool.
Yeah, we should be like careful. So we don't want to build a tool similar to Kepler, for example, in terms of how much work you need to put in. With automation, this is basically just like, I don't know, for example, lightweight scripting, or maybe, I don't know, that we have maybe like a custom Grafana dashboard or something. So something you can actually achieve, and which is not too broad, because yeah. So we don't want to like build an entire new project from scratch. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe it was my bad. I said.
Sorry,
you raised your hand. No, you raised your hand. I talked without raising hand, so you go first, please.
Just short. So we have as a deliverable the kickoff of the Falco project SCI calculation. We already know that we have the tools to achieve this. We don't have to write anything from scratch. What I wanted to put as a goal is like determine if the existing tooling in the CNCF is able to assess the SCI of an application. I want as a goal.
I think, well, Kepler is one of the latest CNCF projects to be onboarded to the CNCF as a sandbox project, and to some extent, yes. They're actually, Antonio and I are working to find solutions to some of the challenges of using Kepler, for example, on EKS. So next question, follow-up question is, can we contribute to existing projects, right? If we find bugs, which we will probably, if we find missing features, can we contribute code to existing projects? Yeah, Leo?
So this would be also kind of out of scope. I think that because I mean, obviously, if we notice, I don't know, if we work with those projects at work or in, I don't know where, and we want to contribute, obviously this is awesome. You can do that, but as an official like mandate kind of in the tag, this is like not one of our goals. Maybe our goal maybe would be if we, in the process of achieving this goal, like using the SCI or some other formula to assess projects and so on. And we use like Kepler or maybe some other tooling, and we find out bugs. We can report them, but we will not work on that. So it's out of scope. It's for us. Does it make sense?
Because I'm also a maintainer of Kepler, so it's like,
Yeah.
like in my personal capacity, I can work on those things, but not as part of the tag.
Oh, yeah, but so we don't want to lose focus on our goals. So we are not, I don't know, I don't know, like a group of individuals who are contributing directly to Kepler projects or cloud native projects. Our goal in the tag is to facilitate between those the conversation, and that we learn and that we nurture the cloud native sustainability scope in the CNCF. So, and we want to keep in the overall tag. We want to keep the overall work directly on the code of CNCF projects. We obviously engage with them, but we don't contribute to them code as part of our mandate, kind of.
Is this accurate?
So of course the report, if we like create a report at the end, the report should like elaborate on things, maybe how to improve the project, or in general that you can actually do something with that. So this is definitely the case, but we are not the people who are then acting on that, because we cannot do everything.
Yeah, let me know if this is a correct summary. And then Antonio.
Yeah, no, like maybe just wanted to clarify that I maybe said like I want to build the tool, but yeah, like I was maybe the wrong word choice. Just I didn't mention to build a second Kepler from scratch or some sort of things, but yeah, rather like a nice packaging or like a custom dashboard on Grafana would do. Which is like this basic script, so that people who are not used to people can like use a nice wrapper. But yeah, I see your point. So like the goal of the tag or tag working group is not to help a single specific project, but rather enabling communication and like helping other projects to achieve the sustainability goal.
On that front, like in the GitOps working group, code contributions are accepted, but that's because of the Open GitOps project. So we could contribute code to the project, but it's not to the working group itself. It's a little bit of a, I don't know if it makes sense to have this distinction in this as well, like the
So I think if we I don't know, at the end contribute code to Kepler, we lose a little bit track of the goal that we want to evaluate projects in the CNCF, or do a report on cloud native sustainability, which you can use from release to release. And I think we should focus on this and make sure that we don't lose track. Obviously, it's very important that we solve bugs in the Kepler project and so on, but we should make sure that we achieve this goal, because this is also very important.
Okay, so I'm changing, however, recommendations from any report.
So for example, if we do like a security review on Kubernetes, there, I don't know, like bugs popping up and so on, and you need to fix this and that. But the team who is conducting the review is not like the experts to solve those bugs necessarily. I think this for us, it's similar, so that we will probably or likely encounter like some things about the projects that we use to conduct the review, and also at the end about the project that we are reviewing. But we are just the messenger in this case, and the people who are coming up with the process how to review this project. And I think this is also very valuable. So I think I would draw a line there.
So I'll add a goal, like the goal is to evaluate the carbon intensity of CNCF projects and produce, it's the same as the scope itself. I'm not very creative.
I was like collaborate with other CNCF project measuring their SCI. Yeah. So what? Yeah. I also lost the track of the phrase.
I just saw that we just have 1 minute left in this meeting.
Yeah, sorry, thank you.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, that's great.
But,
I think
just a question, like, because the meeting is gonna end up, like, if we have ideas, shall we drop it in the chat? Like,
we can continue on Slack.
Yeah.
Should we have another meeting maybe?
And we can have another meeting. Maybe in the, well, next Wednesday this time is the regular meeting, but between now and then or the Wednesday after? What's
I would say maybe in 2 weeks.
okay? We meet again
We
in
can also have before then. It depends. I think it's best. Yeah, it's best that we work now async on this proposal, and as soon as we have like something we can discuss, then we can have another meeting. So maybe in 2 weeks.
So feel free to do some suggestions, right, with the suggestion thing while we are working separately. And then when we get together, we can review the suggestions and add them to the documents together in 2 weeks. Okay, great. Thank you all for coming today. I'm excited to get some metrics and with you all. So we'll be doing that soon. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Have a nice day.
Okay, bye-bye.